Right, so I want to make a video updating everyone as usual, and then get into some other important stuff. Now we had some, again, all we seem to always have big stories coming out, so stay tuned for that. But first things first, Canada's up to 76,250 cases. I don't know how many active cases there are in Canada. They don't update it here on the Alberta site. I don't know if there's anywhere where they do update it, but um, going over the numbers total for Canada is kind of redundant because the numbers vary so drastically province to province. I mean, you have Quebec that's had, I believe, the most cases, and then you have New Brunswick and um, some of these maritime provinces that haven't had a case for 2 weeks or a week. So judging Canada as a whole is kind of redundant. I believe province to province is definitely more important. Up to 5,703 dead. Alberta's up to 6,644 confirmed cases. 1,064 active, so we went down by about 25 to 30 active cases. So that's good. We had 57 new cases yesterday, so again, we're hovering around that 50 to 60 range. We've been doing it for over 2 weeks now. The curve has been long flattened. The curve is actually going down if you look over the last month, and actually fairly significantly. Um, we still have, we were either at 8 or 9 people in the ICU yesterday. I don't remember, but again, we're still holding relatively steady. 57 people in the hospital. And like I say, the Edmonton zone's one where like I say, I spend a lot of time, watching, news stuff, going on social media, and I think it's partially due to the fact that social media is largely a left wing, a lot of times a flat out left wing echo chamber. Um, Namely, like Reddit is one that's really bad that I do go on, especially the more political ones. I mean, there's more specifically anti-leftist ones, but like r/Edmonton, r/Alberta, r/Canada, all left wing, complete left wing echo chambers. Like it's not even funny. And like I said, you give these people the example too. Like I just point out basic stuff on there, and like I'll have like 10 down votes and like one or two up votes. Um, which is insane too because they're the like, and I'll give you the example too, that these are the kind of people that this is what they'll constantly post, especially now that Edmonton opened up. What was it, like last Thursday? So like 4 days ago, roughly 5 days ago. They're talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna see this big massive spike in cases coming up, and the second wave is gonna be the doomsday one. And like I say, these people just have no idea whatsoever what they're talking about, for the simple reason that they're people that either flat out ignore or are so ignorant, like it's not even funny how the level of ignorance they are, for the simple reason that there is several examples of countries and of states that have been open for 2, 3, 4 weeks now. I mean, Sweden didn't even fully close. South Dakota, I believe, didn't even fully close. Georgia's been open for like 3 weeks now. The beaches in Miami opened up like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Again, is there this big massive spike in Florida? No. I mean, there's the beaches in, I believe it was Virginia Beach, have been open for a while now. Is there a big massive spike there? Well, no. So like I don't understand these people. Like there's several examples that we can go to that would determine whether or not there's going to be this big massive spike. What do you think makes us any different? Like what, seriously, we didn't have a, I mean, we got hit a little bit harder than the average province, but still not nearly as hard as Quebec and Ontario. So again, like seriously, like what do you think is going to happen? Like we have several examples, more than I can name off the top of my head, even of places that have been open for more than 2 weeks, because like I say, the incubation period can take up to 2 weeks, and yet nothing, nothing. There's not one example of a place that's reopened that has had a massive spike in cases. Now, there probably will be a place, so people will throw it in the comments section and be like, "Oh yeah, there's this one place, there's this one city in Sweden or Georgia or something that had a slight spike in cases," but they'll probably not link it, compare it to the first quote unquote wave. They'll probably not, account for other factors. So again, you got to account for other factors. And the other thing to mention too is that the keep it down or the keep it locked down or we're all going to die crowd has continuously moved the goalposts multiple times to, we need to flatten the curve because we don't want to, overwhelm the hospital system. And when that blew up in their faces and the hospitals are even less busy than they were before, um, it's, oh yeah, we need to keep things locked down for a little more because if we don't, there's going to be this second wave. And then when that's blatantly obvious, that's not going to happen. It's, we've retreated to, oh, we need a vaccine. And the problem with that is, number one, a vaccine, it may take a decade to get a vaccine for starters. And number two, Dr. Fauci, who's basically our version of Tam, who's, I would say, not quite as bad as Tam, but still very bad. And I think he's pretty terrible. And if I was Trump, I would have fired him. But he has said that if a vaccine is developed, there's no guarantee. And I don't know exactly how he put it, but he put it in a way that it's a distinct possibility that the vaccine will not be effective, which means for all these people saying, oh, we need to wait for a vaccine. What happens when the vaccine doesn't work? Because arguably the world's foremost leading expert on this topic, which again I don't believe he is, but most of the people in government believe that, doesn't even agree with you. Like nobody who is an expert agrees with you. The problem is that these people, why they believe what they believe, because there's no basis in reality for what they believe. So why they believe it, I think, is a combination of, I mean, they want to feel like they're on the winning team, and they want to oppose the people that they perceive to be, the evil capitalist right wingers. Like I say, even though these people saying, "Oh, you just want to reopen so you can help your corporation benefit," but yet they completely ignore that. Hey, last time I checked, is Walmart struggling any right now? I mean, they're one of the biggest corporations in the world. Their stock prices are going way up. Amazon is, I believe, the biggest corporation in the world. Are they struggling right now? Their stock prices hit multiple all-time highs during this. So again, this whole you just want to benefit corporations. Now your position is benefiting arguably the biggest corporations in the world. Like that is the stupidest argument I've ever heard in my life. So that's not an argument. But like I say, the reason that they want they want to be on the winning team, and the winning team as in their team. So the thing that they have right now is that in Canada, like I say, we have de facto socialism right now. I mean, borderline communism, in a lot of ways, because the police have completely unchecked power, the government has completely unchecked power, but most of these leftists either want it or are too stupid to realize that what they're advocating for inevitably leads to this kind of stuff. And that's the problem with the left, too, is that they're so oblivious to reality that they generally don't realize that a lot of their policy positions lead to destruction, and bad stuff. So, and like I say too, the other thing, it's socialism too. Like these people, they want socialism. Right now, we have de facto socialism. We have de facto UBI. We have de facto, government control of pretty much everything. We have the government, um, controls pretty much all industry. Like I say, if the government says the government has the ability to force you to work or not to work during this crisis. Like, do people not understand that? I mean, they don't understand it, but they don't understand the ramifications of it either. But like I say, it's just pure, fall hook, line, and sinker for the propaganda. Again, they're generally people that have no ability to think critically. They don't value questioning the narrative too. And I don't care what you say about what I believe, but the one thing you can't question is that I constantly question the narrative. And the only way you can have a just and functioning society is if you're constantly questioning the narrative. Because if you're not, well, then you end up with tyranny because people don't question things. So anyway, I wanted to have a little rant about those kind of people because they're very just completely ignorant of reality. Like I don't understand how you can be so ignorant and oblivious to reality as to argue that hey, when we reopen, we're going to have this big spike in cases, and yet completely ignore the fact that there's been several states and several countries that have reopened, been open for weeks. Some of them, I mean, Sweden, like I say, Sweden, South Dakota, never even fully closed, and yet where's their doomsday? Like where's the doomsday in Sweden? Where's this doomsday in South Dakota? Where's the doomsday in Georgia? Where is it? There's other European countries that have been open for over 2 weeks as well. Like where's their doomsday? And the fact that those people are completely oblivious to that just goes to show that they have no credibility whatsoever. Um, So Donald Trump tweeted something out this morning, and I couldn't agree more. He said, "Reopen our country," and he put it out about a few hours ago. It's already got 245,000 almost likes, 54,000 retweets. So it's safe to say that the majority of people believe this too. It's the Karens of the world that like to make their voices disproportionately heard, that want to keep things locked down. And I really commend Trump for this too. And this is something that I really can't stand about Canadians too, is that because of our, a good way of putting it is our inferiority complex, in that pretty much every Canadian knows in the back of their head that the States is a better country. And like I say, if you have the, oh no, we're more socialistic, therefore we're better. Okay, well then go live in California. Like they're more socialistic than Canada is as a whole. Even New York and some other states to a degree too. So you can have pretty much anything you want. You can have your free market capitalism. You can have your socialism in California. So, like I say, there's no argument for Canada being better too. I wish Canada was better too. I mean, I live in Canada, but I'm not going to ignore reality just for the sense of wanting to be on the winning team. Like I'm not going to lie to myself like most Canadians do. But like I say, I have to commend Trump for this too. And like I say, I can't stand the Canadian people who aren't on the left that constantly rag on Trump, because he definitely has his faults. Like I've always admitted he has his faults. There's a lot of stuff I disagree with him on. I mean, he should have fired Fauci. He should have been a little bit more heavy-handed, not to the point. I mean, the left's going to call him a dictator no matter what he does. But he should have been a little more heavy-handed in pushing for things to be reopened. I do think that it should be up to the states and up to the provinces. But if I was a leader, I would put out and say, hey, I strongly suggest we reopen, but I'm going to leave it up to you guys. The evidence clearly points towards reopening being perfectly fine. It's not going to be doomsday. That's what I would say. And like I say too, I don't understand why can like we have Justin Trudeau. For all the right wingers in Canada, like worry about Justin Trudeau. Donald Trump, it would be a dream to have as a Canadian Prime Minister. And like I say, not that I agree with him on anything, but even compared to the Conservatives, he is way better, leaps and bounds better. So anyway, this is from Tyler Winklevoss. And like I said, I have a lot of people, not a lot of people, but more or less when I talk to people on social media, they'll pull out the, "Are you an epidemiologist? Are you a doctor? Who cares about your opinion?" Even though they're giving opinions that still, um, they don't have any background either. They just because I disagree with them, they play that stupid card. So YouTube censors epidemiologist Nuts Witkowski for opposing the lockdown. Now again, this guy's an expert in his field, and he opposes the lockdown. And the thing that really bothers me too is that most of the quote unquote experts that support the lockdown benefit from keeping things locked down, which is why I don't trust people's ability to make honest decisions. Because if you stand to benefit and stand to lose from not doing something, then how can you make a objective suggestion? Like these leftists constantly point out too, oh, all of the studies that show that climate change is an issue are funded by big oil, even though like they've never proven that. I've never seen one case of them proving that. Um, but what they're saying is that if there's a financial incentive to do, or any of an incentive to do something, then data can't be trusted. But yet they'll turn around and argue with the exact opposite position when it comes to this stuff. So their belief system is literally, if it supports our theory and our belief system, then we like it. If it doesn't, we don't. That's literally what they believe. I mean, they have no moral compass whatsoever. And again, I wanted to point this out too, because people constantly throw this kind of crap out too. But here's an expert that agrees with me. There's several experts that agree with me too, and it's like I always say too. I'm not going to trust the experts that have been wrong all along too. Like I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And no one should too. Like if you one of the way to, like, there's experts on no matter what you're debating, pretty much no matter what you're debating, any field, any idea. There's experts that are going to differ. There's experts that are going to be on one side of the spectrum, and experts that are going to be on the other. The way you can tell which ones are right generally is which ones have predicted the future the most accurately, generally. Anyway, this is from Candace Owen. Candace Owens, sorry, and she says, serious question. What do you think of the real virus death toll under 10K? I mean, I don't know what it is. I probably don't think it's that low, but um, so they have the director of the Department of Public Health saying it means technically even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a virus death. So why aren't people talking about this more? I don't understand why people aren't talking about this more. We have several stories that definitively prove that they're inflating the numbers, but yet no one seems to care. Like I really don't understand. Like I really don't understand. Um, it's just crazy. The last thing I wanted to talk about here is from Ben Shapiro. And like I say, I'm not a huge fan of Ben Shapiro, but I do agree with him on this. Um, he says it's simply fascinating to watch the story of the lockdowns change to flatten the curve, to avoid overwhelming the healthcare system, to slow the spread indefinitely. The former is an identifiable timeline, the latter inherently doesn't. Now that's the problem too, is that there's no way to slow the spread indefinitely. That's the problem what these people are advocating for. And I seen a guy make a good comparison to it's kind of like the Iraq War, in that when they went to go into the Iraq War, what did they say? It was going to be like 60 or 90 days. We'll be in and out. It'll be fast. Like I say, 60 or 90, some very small amount of time that they said that they were going to be in there, and then they'll be out. And what are we? 18 years later, or roughly, and they're still there. And this is the problem I think with this virus. I mean, it may not be to the same degree, but this is going to be a similar thing too. It went from flatten the curve, 2 to 4 weeks we'll be out of this. It'll be an afterthought. Now we're over 2 months later and nothing, or very little to, or sorry, very little to go on. And that's the problem with these people too, is that eventually we're gonna be at the point to where these people are arguing. Like I've already seen people like have like bumper stickers and tweeting out like, before we know it, we're gonna be at, we need to not have a not have a virus death for 10 years, or a virus case for 10 years, and then we'll think about reopening. Like that's where we're gonna be before we know it. Like they just keep moving the goalposts, and we have to start questioning that. So anyway, if you like the video, or sorry, I'm gonna leave it there. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my PayPal and email. I got linked in the description. I appreciate any donations, but at the very least, just hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. And last couple things, as always, check out my BitChute if you haven't already, and check me out on Twitter if you haven't already. Again, I just got Twitter, so check me out there. All the links are in the description, so you can find them all there. Please follow me.